Dozens of Honolulu police officers are heading back to Oahu after a week among the law enforcement ranks, keeping an eye on protesters at Mauna Kea. The department faces questions about how they got deployed and who's paying the bills. Gina Mangieri is always investigating and has details. Gina?
It's one of the largest inter-island police operations in recent history, and the kind of help usually reserved for states of emergency after natural disasters. But the governor's emergency declaration over Mauna Kea is right now in the hands of judges who are deciding its fate as we speak. Attorneys for Big Island cultural practitioner Paul Nevis on one side and the state on the other went before a panel of 3 judges in Honolulu this afternoon.
Your Honors, the governor has manufactured an emergency to favor one private corporation's right to access Mauna Kea over the constitutional rights of Native Hawaiian cultural practitioners such as the plaintiff, as well as the public.
The plaintiff is seeking a temporary restraining order that would suspend the proclamation. State attorneys defended Ige's decision.
We're not saying that there is no review at all. What we're arguing is that the determination of the existence of an emergency is for the governor and the governor alone to make.
Challengers say the state should not have to rely on sweeping emergency declarations to deal with what's happening.
The proper response in order to avoid infringing on constitutional rights would be to ensure an adequate police force and enforce the laws that already exist.
Well, what you're asking then is for law enforcement to have an equal to or greater number up there, which means more than 1,000 law. Isn't that in and of itself asking for a volatile situation to become explosive?
I would disagree. Just on the facts of this case, even with the large numbers that have, since the emergency proclamation, have allegedly gathered, there still has been no incidents of violence.
The law enforcement headcount is scaling back. The Honolulu Police Department is recalling 56 officers who've been on the Big Island since last Tuesday, along with vans, trucks, and utility vehicles. They say the Hawaii Police Department asked for their help. Honolulu Police Department says the costs will be reimbursed by the Attorney General's office, and added the 4 county police departments have a long history of joint missions and interagency assistance.
It is with natural disasters when, of course, there is an imminent concern for life or injury or loss of life and other catastrophic events. However, I think that in this situation, it didn't qualify for a state of emergency.
Honolulu City Council member Heidi Tsuneyoshi filed a resolution Monday demanding more details on why Honolulu police went over.
So that we have it on record as to what happened, not just for this situation, but any situations that arise after this as to how and when and what the policy is.
A separate lawsuit filed last week seeks a restraining order to block Honolulu and Maui County police deployment. The plaintiff in that case says Honolulu's recall does not allay his concerns.
How can we be assured that it just don't come back the following week? So I think we'll see how it plays out. We haven't actually received confirmation that they're off island, but we know police officers from other counties are here on this island as of today. The officers are deployed here on Hawaii Island before there was a declaration of emergency.
The same emergency proclamation at issue in court today, where the state says the sheer number of protesters justifies the order.
The threat of escalation is vastly increased, Your Honor. And in fact, I think in Major Gelsma's declaration, he said that, if the situation had arisen to where there was violence, the number of officers at the scene may have had to resort to using tear gas. And that's why they had to pull back, Your Honor. And the reason why there has been no riot or outbreak of violence is because law enforcement has been extremely restrained throughout this entire situation.
Well, I think credit goes to both sides. Perhaps law enforcement did restrain themselves, but I think the protesters also have demonstrated quite a resolve toward peaceful demonstration on their side as well.
We asked the Attorney General's office more about the chemical threat revealed in court.
The governor spoke, and he says that tear gas is not going to be used. That's how it is. But the judge just, I'm sorry, the attorney for the state told the judge they would have had to have used tear gas. Why would he say that?
I think had to if it was necessary to clear out the protesters.
So tear gas is up on the mountain in reserve?
I can't comment on what we have operationally.
The panel of judges said they would decide by end of day Tuesday whether to temporarily suspend the emergency proclamation. More hearings would follow over an injunction and other issues in the suit. The declaration expires August 2nd, but the state told the court it could be renewed. Back to you.